LED window.
Good morning. We're going to get started shortly. Members will take their seats, and okay, we're ready to go. Just like to ask all attendees to please silence your cell phone or turn it off as we start. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation. I note that the hour has come. We have clearly established a quorum, but to give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes Pastor Maya Abrams of the Church of Christian Compassion. He is here today as the guest of Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. I would ask all members and guests to please rise.
Amen. Good morning, Council, and all who have assembled to offer solutions today to meet the needs of our great city. What a privilege it is to come together in prayer and ask God's wisdom as we face the demands of today. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we greet you with gratitude on this day, and we're so appreciative because today holds new possibilities, new opportunities and promises, but we also know that today we face different and new challenges, but we're grateful because you give us new grace and new mercy to meet those challenges. We pray together for our city. We pray for doctors and nurses and hospitals. We pray for law enforcement. We pray for schools and teachers and our children. We pray for families who have suffered from violence, God, that you would just give them peace in their heart today. God, I pray that this great city would live up to its creed of brotherly love and sisterly affection. Continue to guide us through this day as we make decisions. Thank you for it in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you so much, Pastor. Council will be at ease. Thank you very much. And again, Pastor, thank you for your spiritual guidance this morning. We really appreciate it. I would like to thank the members that have come to witness your government in action today. I would like to recognize the individuals who may be here, our municipal workers from the Art Museum. Thank you for coming down today. Hopefully we'll get some resolution real soon. So we're going to move on. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. And the chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 22nd, 2022 be approved.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, September 22nd, 2022 stand approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and the journal is approved. And our next order of business is request for leave of absence, and the chair recognizes Councilmember Jones.
President Clark, on behalf of members of council, a leave of absence has been requested by Member Johnson.
Thank you, Councilman. Leave shall be granted to Councilmember Johnson. The chair recognizes Councilman Squilla for his motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council and that were not listed on the calendar circulated prior to today's session.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council, and as required by law, the subsequent published on the amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first reading, the consideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolution that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar. The purpose of this motion is to provide the public with notice concerning possible actions by council that arose too late to be included in the calendar that was published prior to today's session.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the legislative matters stated by Councilman Squilla may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of this session of council. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and the motion carries. And our next order of business is communication. And I would ask the clerk to please read the messages from the mayor or any other communications that he may have in his possession today.
From the mayor to the president and members of the council of the city of Philadelphia. Pursuant to sections 4604 and 2307 of the Home Rule Charter, I am today transmitting to the council the recommendation of the City Planning Commission on the following bills. Bill number 220418 and 220447. And I am pleased to advise you that on September 28, 2022, I signed all the bills which were passed by council at its session on September 15, 2022, except bill number 220239, which I am returning without my signature. And I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 650 North Conestoga Street, 658 North Conestoga Street, 662 North Conestoga Street, 5436 West Girard Avenue, 5552 Harmer Street, 653 North Sickle Streets, 534 through 36 North 54th Street, 538 through 40 North 54th Street, 546 North 54th Street, 550 North 54th Street, 623 through 33 North 55th Street, located in the 4th Councilmanic District. And also a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1309, 1324, 1347, 1348, 1410, 1412, 1421, 1424, 1427, 1428, 1429, 1433, 1437, 1440, 1443, 1451, 1452, 1454, 1457, 1459, 1463, 1512, 1516, 1519, and 1534 North Myrtlewood Street, 1330, 1458, 1460, and 1500 North Hollywood Street, 1218, 1511, 1513, 1521, 1523, 1525, 1537, North 28th Street, 1257, 1253, 1402, 1457, 1648, 1652 North 30th Street, 2713, 2922 West Thompson Street, 1240, 1265, 1271, 1304, 1318, 1446 North Dover Street, 1330, 1332, 1334, 1336 North Marston Street, 1339, 1416, 1446, 1455, 1632 North Newkirk Street, 3000 West Oxford Street, and 2815 Jefferson Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 525 West Norris Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1952 South Redfield Street, located in the 2nd Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 759, 761, 763, 773, 779, and 783 Palace Street, and 4041 Cambridge Street, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2317 Ridge Avenue, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3812, 3826, 3834, 3846, and 3850 North Camac Street, 3861 North 13th Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 3548 Germantown Avenue in the 5th Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 3001 Martha Street in the 1st Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2843 through 2861 Janney Street and 2842 through 2860 Weekle Street, located in the 1st Councilmanic District. And a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2214 North Orkney Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District. And an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the measurements of zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Cotman Avenue, Oxford Avenue, Tyson Avenue, Rising Sun Avenue, Glenview Street, Bingham Street, Kerper Street, Rising Sun Avenue, Unruh Avenue, Martins Mill Road, City Boundary, and Hasbrook Avenue. And an ordinance authorizing the Procurement Commissioner to enter into agreements to purchase electricity, natural gas, and motor fuel for use by the city and city facilities and vehicles, including agreements that obligate payment for delivery of such energy supplies in future fiscal years, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. That concludes our communications and our messages from the mayor. And our next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. I would ask the clerk to please read the titles of the legislation that's being offered by our members today.
Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson offers one privileged resolution entitled a resolution recognizing, honoring, and congratulating Salim Chapman on his appointment as the Director of the Office of Sustainability.
Today's calendar.
Councilwoman Gim offers two privileged resolutions, entitled a resolution honoring and recognizing Rita Adessa, a fierce and fearless activist for social justice and a transformative leader who, as the longtime executive director of the Pennsylvania Lesbian and Gay Task Force, played a critical and impactful role in the fight for the rights and opportunities for LGBTQ plus Philadelphians.
Today's calendar.
And a privileged resolution honoring and congratulating students, educators, staff, and families of the Arts Academy at Benjamin Rush High School for their selection as a National Blue Ribbon School by the Department of Education, a significant, well-deserved honor, and affirming their hard work to create a vibrant, inclusive, and academically rigorous school built on the pursuit of social justice and the arts.
Today's calendar.
Councilman Thomas offers a privileged resolution honoring Philadelphia's first group of black male teachers in core subjects, the freshman teaching cohort of Martin Luther King High School, and the staff and administration for prioritizing the issue of underrepresentation of black male teachers in Philadelphia.
Today's calendar.
Councilman Jones offers 6 bills and 4 resolutions. Entitled, an ordinance authorizing animal husbandry use on behalf of Council President Clark, entitled, an ordinance authorizing animal husbandry use on a certain location within an area bounded by Reservoir Drive, Fountain Green Drive, Kelly Drive, Girard Avenue, and 33rd Street.
Next week's calendar.
On behalf of Council President Clark, an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing An ordinance, also on behalf of Council President Clark, an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Cotman Avenue, Oxford Avenue, Tyson Avenue, Rising Sun Avenue, Glenview Street, Bingham Street, Kerper Street, Rising Sun Avenue, Unruh Avenue, Martins Mill Road, City Boundary, and Hasbrook Avenue.
Refer to committee.
On behalf of Councilman Johnson, an ordinance authorizing the striking from City Plan Number 45S and abandonment of a certain right-of-way reserved for water main and gas main purposes extending from 17th Street to 18th Street north of Hartraft Street.
Refer to committee.
On behalf of Councilman Johnson, an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 308 by striking from the City Plan and vacating Nordane Street from 15th Street to its terminus eastwardly therefrom, and striking from the City Plan and abandoning a right-of-way for drainage, water main, and gas main purposes, which extends eastwardly from the said terminus of Nordane Street.
Refer to committee.
On his own behalf, Councilman Jones offers an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation on both sides of North 75th Street between Brookhaven Road and Brentwood Road,
Refer to committee.
and an ordinance regulating the direction of movement of traffic on Gorgas Lane between Ridge Avenue and Lawton Street.
Refer to committee.
On behalf of Councilman Johnson, a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1952 South Redfield Street located in the 2nd Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
On his own behalf, Councilman Jones offers a non-privileged resolution also naming the 4100 block of Monument Road as Jim Gardner Way,
Next week's calendar.
and a privileged resolution honoring the life and legacy of John Izzard Jr., one of the first black members of Philadelphia's rowing community and the first black captain of the Undine Barge Club,
Today's calendar.
and a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 650 North Conestoga Street, 658 North Conestoga Street, and 662 North Conestoga Street.
Next week's
Non-privileged.
calendar.
And a privileged resolution authorizing the joint city council committees on public safety and public health and human service to hold a hearing investigating the mapping out of trauma centers across the city and how they are selected when transporting shooting victims, and inviting the House Democratic Policy Committee and Senate Democratic Policy Committee to participate in these hearings.
This week's calendar.
Councilwoman Brooks offers a non-privileged resolution urging the Pennsylvania State Senate and Governor Tom Wolf to pass House Bill 1419, known as the Dignity for Incarcerated Women Act, intended to improve conditions and treatment of pregnant people in Pennsylvania's jails and prisons.
Next week's calendar.
Councilman Driscoll offers an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of City Plan Number 291 by striking from the city plan and vacating the legally open portion of Shellmeyer Avenue from State Road to the center line of the Philadelphia and Trenton Railroad under certain terms and conditions.
Refer to committee.
Councilman O'Neill offers three bills entitled an ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Cotman Avenue, the Montgomery County line, the Bucks County line, Interstate 95, Grant Avenue, and Roosevelt Boulevard, and an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation on Pine Road from Bloomfield Avenue to Shady Lane, and an ordinance establishing no truck parking regulation on Philmont Avenue from Byberry Road to Bustleton Avenue.
Those three bills will be referred to committee.
Councilman Squilla offers two resolutions entitled a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 3001 Martha Street in the 1st Councilmanic District,
Next week's calendar.
and a non-privileged resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 2843 through 2861 Janney Street and 2842 through 2860 Weekle Street located in the 1st Councilmanic District.
Next week's calendar.
Councilman O offers three privileged resolutions entitled a resolution recognizing the 30th anniversary of Fun Times Magazine, a community-driven magazine focused on the African diaspora,
This week's calendar.
and a privileged resolution recognizing and honoring the life and legacy of Jesse Bermudez, who is remembered as a loyal patriarch of Latin music for his humility and commitment to uplifting marginalized multicultural communities through the power of music.
This week's calendar.
And a privileged resolution recognizing and honoring the 250th anniversary of the Society of the Sons of St. George for its long-standing contributions to the English American community in Philadelphia.
This week's calendar. Chair recognizes Councilman O.
Very much, Council President. I do have business outside of the chambers, and I would like to request a leave and also to be recorded as voting aye on all bills and resolutions.
Thank you, Councilman. Let the record reflect that Councilman O has been granted leave of absence and is voting aye on all bills and resolutions.
Thank you very much, Council
Thank you,
President.
Councilman. Mr. Decker, does that conclude the introductions?
It does, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. There are no reports from committee today. So our next order of business is a consideration of the calendar. There are no bills on the first reading calendar, so the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for a motion concerning the resolutions on the final passage calendar today.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda for the following resolutions on final passage calendar. Resolutions number 220-745, 220-747, 220-748, 220-749, 220-750, 220-751, 220-754, 220-755, 220-756, 220-757, 220-758, 220-759, 220-762, and 220-763.
Can I get a second? Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that the rules of council be suspended to permit the use of a consent agenda to consider the resolutions just read by Councilman Jones. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and we will consider the resolution consent agenda shortly. The chair again recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on a regular second reading and final passage calendar today.
Thank you again, Mr. President. The following resolutions are being considered for the, start again. Thank you, Mr. President. In addition to the resolutions being considered for the consent agenda today, the following resolutions and bills are being called up for second reading and final passage calendars today. Numbers 220-599, 220-692, 220-693, and 220-746. All other bills and resolutions are being held.
Thank you very much, Councilman. We will now move to our public comment session. But before considering these resolutions and bills we will consider, the public comment session will go as follows. Your public comment session must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendars for possible action at today's council session. All speakers must sign up in order to testify. If you have not already signed up for today's session, please do so now by giving your name to the sergeant at arms at the tables set up for this purpose in the hallway just outside the council chambers. Once you have signed up, you will be called in the order in which your name appears on the sign-up sheet. Today, I'm going to do 3 minutes. Today, we don't have a significant volume of people, so we're going to do 3 minutes today. So you will each have 3 minutes to testify. However, the time limit may vary from session to session based on the volume of speakers. In order to be fair, all those wishing to speak, we intend to hold faithfully to the established time limit. So when you begin speaking, you will see a green light on the podium. When there are 30 seconds remaining to your time, the light will turn yellow, which is your reminder to conclude your remarks. So we ask you to get right to your remarks when you step up to the podium. Once 3 minutes have passed, the light will turn red and the sergeant at arms will disconnect the microphone. And at that point, please yield the podium to the next speaker if you have not already done so. We also reserve the right, pursuant to our rules of council, to limit repetitious comments on the same subject matter. So I would ask Mr. Decker, he will start reading the first name. And again, I want to thank you so much for your willingness and your interest in participating in your government in action. So thank you for your participation today. And Mr. Decker, please call the first witness to testify today.
The first speaker we have today, Mr. President, is Winifred Taylor, commenting on 220762.
Y'all here? Okay. Just go get her and just do the next name. Mr. Decker, read the next name.
The next speaker is Jerome Moore, commenting on 220762.
Mr. Moore?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is my first time here, so I don't know how to establish protocol.
Just state your name for the record, just to start
First
the
name is
process.
Jerome L. Moore Jr. from the Mount Olive Baptist Church. We're speaking on behalf of my pastor, the Reverend Harry Moore Sr., who has been pastoring at Mount Olive Baptist Church for 28 years. We just celebrated his 28th year at 638 North 37th Street, where he has been a monstrous leader and the pillar of Mount Olive Baptist Church in West Philly. This man has been a pillar of leadership, both inside the walls of Mount Olive as well as outside of the walls of Mount Olive Baptist Church. He has taken the Baptist creed outside in terms of even funeralizing a building on Mellon Street. One of the first times we've ever witnessed that in our community. He is a giver, he is a teacher, but most of all, he is a man of God who has been steadfast and unmovable in making sure that he undergirds us with our belief as baptized believers in our Lord and our Savior, Jesus Christ. We just stand and asking that you consider naming the 600 block of 37th Street in honor of Reverend Harry Moore Sr., so that while he can do and see the things that he's accomplished yet while he's still yet alive.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. We really appreciate it. Thank you. Is Ms. Taylor? Did Ms. Taylor come in? She did not. Okay.
The next speaker is Queen Judith Robinson.
One more time. Ms. Robinson.
Queen Judith Robinson.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Decker.
The next speaker is Danielle Hillian. Danielle Hillian. Commenting on 220762.
Good morning. Just state your name for the record and please proceed with your testimony.
Danielle Hillian. My name is Danielle Hillian. I am here to represent Mount Olive Baptist Church and the trustee ministry. We are in the process. We would like to name the 638 block of North 37th Street after Pastor Harry Moore Sr. He does a lot for the community. He does a lot for the people, and not only for the congregation, but more than the people that are not members of our church. We are asking that you approve this resolution so that we can honor him and the neighborhood in which the church resides. Yes.
You got it? All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. We appreciate you coming in.
The next speaker is Ogbonna Higgins. Commenting on 220756.
Good morning.
Great morning to everyone. My name is Ogbonna Higgins. I really want to just concur with the resolution honoring and celebrating the life of Reverend Dr. Leon Sullivan, the Lion of Zion. But I want to just remind people exactly what the Reverend Sullivan was about. You know, he created the Sullivan Principles. And I really want to ask this body if they're living up to those principles of Reverend Leon Sullivan. It's good to acknowledge him and the 100th anniversary of his birth, but I just want you to recognize what he actually did and not just say, oh, I'm going to recognize Reverend Leon Sullivan because there's a plaza named after him and all of that. One of his principles, or a few of his principles, was that the equal employment practices, community development, equal pay, which I see that the union here from the Art Museum is here, and they need equal pay. So if we're going to celebrate Leon Sullivan, let's research what the Reverend Leon Sullivan was about, and let's implement those things in the bills that you present in honor of on behalf of the city. He did this in relationship to apartheid in South Africa, but there's a lot of apartheid or apartheid happening right here in Philadelphia. And we need to examine that as a body. The city council members need to examine the separation of people from the way the communities are being gentrified to our education system. We need to acknowledge that and not just acknowledge Brother Leon Sullivan. Again, my name is Obona Hagins. And one other thing, too, he spoke out. He wasn't very quiet. That's why he was called the Lion of Zion, because he spoke out against injustices. And you guys know what the injustice here in Philadelphia is, from the dumping to people driving crazy to there being a lawlessness in the city. So I thank you for listening, and I really expect some action and not just looking at me and acknowledging my presence, but to actually do something about these problems that are happening in Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate you being here today.
The next speaker is Amanda Bach. I'm sorry. The next speaker is Winifred Taylor.
Oh, Ms. Taylor's here? Okay.
Good morning. My name is Winifred Taylor, and I am here on behalf of Mount Olive Baptist Church, speaking in reference to my pastor, Reverend Harry Moore Sr. I have been blessed to work as an administrative assistant to Reverend Harry Moore Sr. for the past 14 years. During this time, I have been privy to observe him in various situations. I admire who he is, and I'm very proud to call him my pastor. What I have observed is that he is an intelligent, resourceful, and energetic preacher that is respected and accepted by members of all ages, as well as co-laborers in the ministry. Also, he is a very determined leader who is passionate about serving God's people. I have found Reverend Moore to be faithful and authentic witness of the gospel of Jesus Christ. He is an enthusiastic Bible scholar when discussing and studying the Word of God. Some characteristics in which I believe speaks volume about him are Reverend Moore allocates time to study, plan, and prepare his sermons. His sermons are spiritually based, as well as they are creative, focused, but yet relevant and timely enough to meet the needs of God's people. He is a leader with a vision who has the ability to convey his goals, to collaborate, and is flexible enough to work with his members to achieve them. He possesses a warm, charismatic demeanor, which is evident through his empathetic and humble spirit. He is a lover of people, but also he is loved by his people for his dedication, his devotion, and his unselfishness. He is respectful, but also respected by both his members and his community. This is by far not a complete list, but it will provide a snapshot and an insight as to why we believe the Reverend Harry Moore Sr., who is our pastor, should receive this prestigious honor of having a street named after him. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony today. We appreciate you being here.
The next speaker is Amanda Bach, commenting on 220559.
Good morning.
Good morning, Council. My statement today is in reference to Resolution 220599, urging the City of Philadelphia to reconsider the terms of the Atwater Kent Collections transfer agreement between the city and Drexel University in order to ensure adequate stewardship of the collection and protect the interests of the citizens of Philadelphia. I speak to you today as a curator at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, who in the 6 years I've served in this position understands well the importance of safeguarding cultural objects and making them accessible to the people of Philadelphia and to visitors to the city that we call home and love. Unfortunately, right down the street from Drexel University at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, management is failing to protect the interests of the citizens of Philadelphia by creating untenable working conditions for people like me who are charged with stewarding their collections. They are failing to offer everyone but their top executives competitive salaries, paying their union-eligible workers who join me here today on average 30% less than peer institutions pay them. They are failing to provide meaningful salary increases in a hostile economy to a workforce who hasn't seen a pay increase in over 3 years. And they are failing to provide a health care plan that workers can afford to purchase and to use. I love my job at the museum, and it's why I moved here. But I could walk 3 blocks down the street and take the same job at the Barnes Foundation for 20% more pay. My colleagues could do the same at the Barnes, at PAFA, Penn, and elsewhere, and they have been doing so. We've been on strike now for 4 hard days. Sorry. After 2 years of stalled negotiations and numerous unfair labor practices committed by our employer, we unfortunately were left with little choice. It hurts me to be out on a picket, unpaid, and letting collections sit untended to and stalling out projects I have put my whole heart into. But there comes a point when the prestige of working at the Philadelphia Museum of Art can't outweigh the financial burden of a soaring cost of living in Philadelphia and stagnant pay. It's time for City Council to please step in and help the working people of Philadelphia win a contract that we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Zoe Cohen, commenting on 220559.
Thank you, Council. My name is Zoe Cohen. I'm speaking in support of 220599 and the Philadelphia Museum of Art Union. I'm an artist, an educator, and an organizer with United Academics of Philadelphia, AFT Local 9608. I've been proud to be a Philadelphian for over 20 years. I'm also a former museum educator at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I taught in almost every type of educational program the museum offered from around 2001 to 2007. I started working at the museum less than a month after moving here as a young adult. During that time, I fell in love with the collection and with this city, while teaching in the galleries and also working on outreach programs in the neighborhoods of Philadelphia. I learned that the museum is one of the city's greatest resources, just like the Atwater Kent Collection, and that its staff are dedicated to making it a resource available to all Philadelphians, just as the Atwater Kent Collection should be. The Philadelphia Museum of Art is one of the greatest gems of Philadelphia, but it is a true stain on the city that some museum staff are currently making the same hourly wage that I was being paid over 20 years ago. PMA workers, like all workers, deserve the respect and stability of a strong union contract in order to be able to continue to serve Philadelphia. Council members, in addition to reconsidering the terms of transfer of the Atwater Kent collection, I urge you to support the PMA union and compel the PMA leadership to meet their reasonable demands for sustainable pay and benefits. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next speaker is Adam Rizzo, commenting on 220559.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Adam Rizzo, and my statement is in reference to Resolution 220599. As a museum educator, I'm glad to hear that City Council shares my commitment to ensuring that public collections continue to be conserved and made accessible to the citizens of Philadelphia. My own employer, the Philadelphia Museum of Art, has made several public statements recently about the importance of serving our community. However, they do not seem to consider those who work at the museum as part of that community. Workers at the PMA union are currently on strike for a living wage and affordable health care. We are the Philadelphians that the management of the museum have the most power to impact in a positive way. But instead, they treat us like we are separate from the communities we serve. They are happy to emphasize the importance of our work, to criticize our choice to strike. But they don't think our work is important enough to pay us a living wage. If City Council believes in the importance of the arts being accessible to Philadelphians, I hope you will help ensure the Philadelphians who work in the arts are treated with dignity and respect. The city and state give the museum millions of dollars every year. I urge you to make sure that money is used to support rank and file workers at the museum and not the bloated millionaires in senior management. I'm a museum educator, and I want to get back to work to continue serving the wonderful students of the School District of Philadelphia, but I won't do it until management comes to the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Thank you for coming in.
The next speaker is Joseph Hu, commenting on 220559.
Good morning.
My name is Joseph Hu. I'm a museum photographer at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. My statement is with reference to Resolution 220599, urging the City of Philadelphia to reconsider the terms of the Atwater Kent Collection transfer agreement between the City of Philadelphia and Drexel University in order to ensure adequate stewardship of the collection and protect the interests of the citizens of Philadelphia. As a museum worker at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, I know firsthand the enormous and complex responsibility that encompasses the administration and guardianship of a collection of this importance. At the PMA, that responsibility falls on the union members of ASME DC 47. We're the curators, conservators, photographers, educators, visitor services and retail associates, IT professionals, art handlers, development officers, the list goes on. The point is, we are the ones that take care of the museum and its collection. And we are fighting at this very moment for better pay and affordable health care from the museum management. We're on strike because the museum refuses to adequately compensate its highly skilled and knowledgeable staff that takes great care in preserving and sharing its world-class collection with the citizens of Philadelphia and the world. We urge City Council to advise the management and board of the Philadelphia Museum of Art to negotiate with the union in good faith and come to an agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Adrian Atiles, commenting on 220559.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Adrian Atiles. I am a grants manager at the Philadelphia Museum of Art, and I'm here as a proud member of the PMA Union. I thank the City Council for hearing my statement in reference to Resolution 220599 regarding stewardship of the Atwater Kent Collection. It is in the interest of the citizens of Philadelphia that institutions such as Drexel University, who stewards the collection, and the Philadelphia Museum of Art, who stewards other distinguished art collection bequeathed to the City of Philadelphia, the John G. Johnson Collection, among others, take appropriate measures to ensure adequate stewardship. For instance, significant city funds bolster the Philadelphia Museum of Art, yet at this very moment, its workers, including conservators, curators, installers, and registrars, are on strike fighting for fair pay, reasonable health care, and our first union contract after 2 years of negotiations. We are professionals who love our jobs and are committed to making sure such esteemed works of art are accessible to Philadelphia taxpayers. We tour the communities we serve, yet many of us work several jobs, cannot afford health care, and are in housing crises due to stagnant wages and tone-deaf leadership. The pay disparity within the museum is staggering, leaving those of us who actually put art on the walls and lead children's programs to have to strike as a last resort. Meanwhile, the city's assets, in the form of important collections, such as the Atwater and the Johnson, languish while museum executives bring home salaries ranging from $200,000 to $700,000 a year. It's shameful, and Philadelphia taxpayers deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we call the next speaker, I just want to let the record reflect that Councilwoman Kim is present. Thank you, Councilwoman.
The next speaker is Peter Winslow, commenting on 220692.
Good morning.
My name is Peter Winslow. I'm a resident of Philadelphia. I speak to you today as president of Smart Collaboration and as a candidate that you recommended to Mayor Kenny for appointment to the initial board of directors of the Philadelphia Public Financial Authority. Thank you, President Clark and members of council, for this opportunity to speak in support of the 12 resolutions that pertain to the acquisitions and dispositions by the Philadelphia Land Bank. If I had time, I would like to give my support to my union colleagues who are fighting for fair treatment by the Philadelphia Museum of Art, because they deserve it. If I had time, I would also like to speak about the shooting in Roxborough, which is near my home, and also about the hurricane, Ian, and what the implications are for Philadelphia from climate disruption. But I've got 3 minutes, so I'll talk about the land bank. President Clark, I recall, I think it was in 2011 that Rob Stewart and I spoke with you, and also Councilmember Jones with you at length about the need for a land bank. And thank you very much for now giving us that land bank and how much we appreciate not only the work that the land bank does, but that the Philadelphia Housing Development Corporation, the Redevelopment Fund, the Department of Public Property, all the agencies do in trying to recycle the properties that we have that are underutilized. Of these properties that are mentioned in the resolutions under consideration today, I counted 260, which is a lot. This takes up a big part of your calendar and a big part of your mental process here in council. But remember, there are 42,000 properties in Philadelphia that are vacant, and we're barely keeping up. So when Mayor Kenny tells us that everything is fine and we don't need any additional help because everything is going along fine with the way things are, I take exception to that because I think we can do much, much better. And one of the ways that we can do better is with the implementation of the Philadelphia Public Financial Authority. Among other things, the ability to dispose of property, drawing down the inventory, provides more funds for additional acquisitions. And a way to do that is to support land trusts. There are 256 land trusts in the United States. We have several of them here in Philadelphia, but they're small and they need help. The Financial Authority can provide that kind of help. And I look forward to working with you to find ways in which we can implement that together. Thank you for your attention to this matter once again.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate it.
The next speaker is Catherine Casey, commenting on 220599.
Good morning, City
morning.
Council members, and you, sir. My name is Catherine Casey. I'm a resident of Philadelphia, trained as an art historian with a PhD from Bryn Mawr College. I am here to strongly voice my support in favor of the resolution to reconsider the terms of the Atwater Kent Collection transfer agreement. In reference to the art collections, however, I would like to point out an embarrassment for the city of Philadelphia that is taking place on a world stage. The Philadelphia Museum Art has a world-class collection of art, and people come from all over the world to view it. As an art historian, I can vouch that the art world is abuzz with news of the recent strike, and it is known in that world that the PMA treats its employees poorly and does not pay them well. I will repeat, this is an embarrassment for the city that is taking place on a world stage. Now, from the news, I learned that the PMA sits on city property, which it leases for $1 a year, and that all the PMA utility bills are paid for by my tax dollars as allocated in the budget that you pass. Given this stake, your stake in it, I urge the City Council to take whatever action you can to persuade the museum to resolve this dispute and enter into a fair contract. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. We appreciate you being here today.
There are no other speakers on the public comment list, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. That concludes our public comment session, and hopefully in the next couple of days we'll get some resolution to the art museum workers. I understand that there are discussions currently taking place. Yes. Yeah, okay. You said Bass? Would you?
Yeah.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass. There you go. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just really wanted to, number one, thank the museum workers for coming down today and for making sure that the public is aware of what's actually happening. I know that they were speaking primarily on my resolution 220599, and I'm going to speak to that, but I just also wanted to mention really quickly that the Art Museum does have a huge endowment and receives considerable freebies from the city of Philadelphia in terms of no taxes, some of the services that they receive, freebies from the city on some of the most valuable real estate in the city of Philadelphia. And to be $300,000 apart on a $6 million budget is just ridiculous. So I just really wanted to put that out there. But on Resolution 220599, I wanted to make sure that everyone who spoke on it is made aware that we're actually going to withdraw that particular version of the resolution and introduce a revised version based on some technical changes that need to be made to the actual resolution. So the substance will still be there, but based on some technical changes, we need to withdraw and reintroduce. So thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman, for that information. Okay, that concludes our public comment session. We will now consider today's resolution consent agenda. I would ask Mr. Decker to please read details of all the resolutions on the consent agenda After each title is read, any member may object to the inclusion of the resolution on the resolution consent agenda. Upon such an objection, and without debate, the resolution will be immediately removed from the resolution consent agenda and placed on today's regular final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, please now read the titles of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda.
Resolution number 220745, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1600 through 40 North 9th Street located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 220747, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1000 and 1026 through 36 Fairmount Avenue, including the former 671 and 681 through 87 North 11th Street, and 1015 through 29 Mellon Street, 1005, 1007, and 1013 Mellon Street, 1019 and 1021 Wallace Street, 647 through 67, 662 through 68, and 670 through 72 North 10th Street, and 667 and 677 North 11th Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 220748, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 3812, 3826, 3834, 3846, and 3850 North Camac Street, 3861 North 13th Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 220749, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1402, 1403, 1405, 1407, 1408, 1409, 1411, 1412, 1413, 1414, 1417, 1418, 1421, 1422, 1423, 1424, 1425, 1426, 1427, 1429, 1431, 1432, 1433, 1435, 1436, 1438, 1441, 1443, 1445, 1446, 1447, 1449, 1457, 1462, 1513, 1514, 1532, 1536, 1547, 1559, 1561, 1611, 1613, 1629, 1631, 1633, 1635, and 1641 North Marston Street, 2712, 2714, 2810, 2836, and 2838 Cecil B. Moore Avenue, 13, 16, 13, 18, 1400, 1406, 1408, 1414, 1418, 1422, 1426 through 32, 1434, 1436, 1438, 1444, 1448, 1450, and 1634 North 27th Street, 1544 and 1546 North 26th Street, 1602, 1608, 1614, 1632, 1637, and 1639 through 41 North Bailey Street, 1420, 1444, 1450, and 1453 North Edding Street, and 2704, 2705, 2710, and 2720 Jefferson Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 220750, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1309, 1324, 1347, 1348, 1410, 1412, 1421, 1424, 1427, 1429, 1428, 1429, 1433, 1437, 1440, 1443, 1451, 1452, 1454, 1457, 1459, 1463, 1512, 1516, 1519, and 1534 North Myrtlewood Street, 1330, 1458, 1460, 1500 North Hollywood Street, 1218, 1511, 1513, 1521, 1523, 1525, 1537 North 28th Street, 1257, 1253, 1402, 1457, 1648, and 1652 North 30th Street, 2713, 2922 West Thompson Street, 1240, 1265, 1271, 1304, 1318, and 1446 North Dover Street, 1330, 1332, 1334, and 1336 North Marston Street, 1339, 1416, 1446, 1455, and 1632 North Newkirk Street, 3000 West Oxford Street, and 2815 Jefferson Street, located in the 5th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 220751, entitled a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 3861 North 13th Street in the 5th Councilmanic District. And resolution number 220754, entitled a resolution also naming Christian Street between Broad and 20th Streets, Black Doctors Row, to to recognize its designation as Philadelphia's first African-American Historic District. And Resolution Number 220755, entitled a resolution also naming the 900 block of South 17th Street, Geraldine Graves Way, to honor the life and legacy of Geraldine Graves. And Resolution Number 220756, entitled a resolution celebrating the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Leon H. Sullivan, the Lion of Zion, on the occasion of his 100th birthday. And Resolution Number 220757, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 759, 761, 763, 773, 779, and 783 Palace Street, 4041 Cambridge Street, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And Resolution Number 220758, entitled a resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 1834, 1837, 1840, 1846, and 1848 South Allison Street, 4322 Lancaster Avenue, 767, 769, and 771 Palace Street, 5517 Pascal Avenue, 3909 Wallace Street, 642 North 39th Street, and 713 North 43rd Street in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And Resolution Number 220759, entitled a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 5112 Ludlow Street, located in the 3rd Councilmanic District. And Resolution Number 220762, entitled a resolution renaming the 600 block of North 37th Street Reverend Harry Moore Way, in honor of the life and work of Reverend Harry Moore Sr., for his work as a faithful spiritual leader and servant of his community. And Resolution Number 220763, entitled a resolution adding Joseph A. Furco Memorial Boulevard to the street signs on Bridge Street between Tacony Street and Richmond Street, in recognition of the positive impact that the Joseph A. Furco String Band and its members have had in the city of Philadelphia and across the world.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones for a motion to adopt each of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of each of the resolutions on today's resolution consent agenda.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that each of the resolutions on the resolution consent agenda be adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And the resolution consent agenda has been adopted. We will now consider the bills and resolutions on the regular second reading and final passage calendar. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 220599.
A resolution urging the City of Philadelphia to reconsider the terms of the Atwater Kent Collection transfer agreement between the City of Philadelphia and Drexel University in order to ensure adequate stewardship of the collection and protect the interests of the citizens of Philadelphia.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
President, I move that the resolution number 220599 be withdrawn.
Thank you. It has been moved and second that resolution number 220599 be withdrawn, and all in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries and resolution number 220599 has been withdrawn. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 220692.
A resolution authorizing the Commissioner of Public Property to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Redevelopment Authority deeds conveying fee simple title to 3217, 3241, 3248, 3253, and 3257 North 15th Street, 3305, 3333, 3340, 3342, and 3346 North 16th Street. 3314, 3316, 3320, 3327, 3331, 3342, 3344, 3346, 3412, and 3414 North 17th Street in the 8th Councilmanic District.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. It has been moved and second that the resolution be adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, resolution number 220693.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 6131 Bainton Street, located in the 8th Councilmanic District.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. It has been moved and probably second that the resolution be adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 220-746.
A resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to dispose of 1942, 1944, 1946, 1950, 1952, 1954, 1956 North 3rd Street, 1923, 1927, 1934, 1935 North 4th Street, 1925 North 5th Street, 301, 303, 305, 307, 309, 433, 437, and 537 West Burke Street, 2004 North Bodine Street, 401, 405, and 407 West Houston Street, 1916, 1922, and 1940 North Lithgow Street, 313, 421 West Norris Street, 1910, 1923, 1926, 1927, 1930, 1931, 1936, 1951, 1952, 1954, 1958, and 1961 North Oriana Street, located in the 7th Councilmanic District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your behalf, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second that the resolution be adopted. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, you have any additional resolution?
A resolution recognizing, honoring, and congratulating Salim Chapman on his appointment as the Director of the Office of Sustainability, introduced today by Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing Rita Adessa, a fierce and fearless activist for social justice and a transformative leader who, as the longtime executive director of the Pennsylvania Lesbian and Gay Task Force, played a critical and impactful role in the fight for the rights and opportunities for the LGBTQ+ Philadelphians, introduced today by Councilwoman Gim.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating students, educators, staff, and families of the Arts Academy at Benjamin Rush High School for their selection as a National Blue Ribbon School by the Department of Education. A significant and well-deserved honor, and affirming their hard work to create a vibrant, inclusive, and academically rigorous school built upon on the pursuit of social justice and the arts, introduced today by Councilwoman Gim.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Gim.
Thank you very much, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring Philadelphia's first group of all-black male teachers in core subjects, the freshman teaching cohort at Martin Luther King High School, and the staff and administration for prioritizing the issue of underrepresentation of black male teachers in Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. In a time where we need to encourage as many black males as possible to be in our schools, I energetically move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring the life and legacy of John Izzard Jr., one of the first black members of Philadelphia's rowing community and the first black captain of the Undine Barge Club, introduced today by Councilman Jones.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
On behalf of all of the members of the council rowing team, I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the joint City Council Committees on Public Safety and Public Health and Human Services to hold a public hearing investigating the mapping out of trauma centers across the city and how they are selected when transporting shooting victims, and inviting the House Democratic Policy Committee and Senate Democratic Policy Committee to participate in these hearings, introduced today by Councilman Jones.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Jones.
Mr. President, may I take a minute to speak as to the origin and importance of this resolution?
I'm sorry, pardon me?
Yeah. It's been a bad week in the 4th District. We lost a young man's life, 5 people shot, but 1 fatally in a part of my district that is not used to, nor should any part of my district be used to, gun violence. I want to thank the members of council that reached out, called, and came out to support it. The Chair of Education, Member Thomas, to Kathy Gilmore Richardson, to Helen Gim, to all of the members that showed up and stepped up to the plate about this incident as if it were their individual districts. Didn't matter where it was. But one of the things that in those discussions with the principals, the teachers, and some of the students was the fact, and Member Thomas brought it to all of our collective attention, that the young man, Nicholas, was shot in Roxborough. He was transported all the way to Einstein, where he perished, passing hospitals along the way that did not have trauma units. This would not be as prevalent if we did not have the high murder rate, the high shooter rate that we have in the city of Philadelphia. So when Member Thomas brought that question up, it just hit us over the top of the head, like, why don't we know what hospitals have trauma units and how long does it take to get from this point A to get to point B when you're suffering from a gunshot wound? So what we want to do, and we want to do this in conjunction with our partners at the state and federal government, is take a look at the state and condition our hospitals are in and whether or not there is a funding gap that doesn't allow for trauma units to be available to the Philadelphians. And so we're going to take a look at it and see what it takes, not to point a finger, but to point to solutions to this problem so that we never have to second guess whether or not that ride was too long and could have saved more lives. So out of every bad thing should come something that points to solutions so that it never, ever happens again. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. And it's approved. I hear you, Councilman. Really sad, challenging environment we're living in right now. Okay. You have Mr. Decker?
And a resolution recognizing the 30th anniversary of the Fun Times magazine, a community-driven magazine focused on the African diaspora. Introduced today by Councilman O.
You said Councilman O?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah, Chair recognizes. Oh, Councilwoman? Go ahead.
On O's behalf, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you for taking Councilwoman Parker's place. We appreciate it. Not only her seat, but also her. Thank you. It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring the life and legacy of Jesse Bermudez, who is remembered as a local patriarch of Latin music for his humility and commitment to uplifting marginalized multicultural communities through the power of music. Introduced today by Councilman O.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Councilmember O's behalf, I move the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing and honoring the 250th anniversary of the Society of the Sons of St. George for its long-standing contributions to the English American community in Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilman O.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Councilmember O's behalf, I move the adoption of the resolution.
Moved and probably second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Councilwoman Kim, I see that you're still, was that from before? Okay, you moved it off? Okay, all right, thank you.
There are
you.
no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. We will now move to our speeches. Any speeches on behalf of the minority? Speeches on behalf of the majority. Chair recognizes Councilwoman McGinn.
Thank you very much, Council President. A great art institution relies not just on the grandeur of its building or the rarity of its collections, but actually on the value and the greatness of its staff. I want to recognize and thank all the members of DC 47 who are here today as they work on an extended contract with the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I think all of us in this room feel very strongly about our pride in our art institutions, but we also feel very strongly that when they are city institutions, that they exhibit truly, a commitment to lifting up the quality of jobs that we have, ensuring good wages and responsible benefits. It's unfortunate that the dispute has gotten protracted, and we continue to urge the Philadelphia Museum of Art to negotiate and to continue to meet with members of DC 47 and to meet the needs of its staff, and we will be with them to support them all the way. And then the second thing I wanted to raise was, I think my colleague, Councilmember or Majority Leader Jones, expresses the grief of our entire council body on behalf of the family of Nicholas Elisade, his parents, the multiple school communities that were impacted by the shooting. We have had 178 children shot this year, and Nicholas was a little more than the two dozenth young person to be killed by gun violence. We had a chance to talk to a number of teachers and staff, and we will continue to do so. We talked to students themselves, and I think we will continue to do so. But we also need to come to a recognition. I think this body definitely has acknowledged that we are not doing enough, that this body has funded programs that are still in their pilot phases or have not yet gotten off the ground. That includes a key employment program for individuals who are most impacted by gun violence that this body funded in June of 2021 and is going to be starting apparently this fall. The amount of urgency that's needed around this is undeniable. And I particularly want to make a statement about young people. What is happening amongst a number of young people, whether we saw it at Mill Creek, whether we saw it outside of Roxborough, whether we've seen it outside of Bartram High School, and in other places, we need a clear and deliberate plan to address these street disputes that are involving so many young people. We need conflict mediation on the ground. We've said that we need violence interrupters on the ground. When 80% of our police shootings are going without an arrest, much less a conviction being made, we need a city-community partnership around de-escalation and professional mediation intervention. We've seen programs like this work in other cities, but we need a targeted program for young people. And in particular, I want our council body to focus on the Juvenile Justice Services Center. These are young people who are at most risk. Many of them are already involved either through DHS or through the justice system already. But we have almost 4,000 young people go through there a year. And we do not have a strategic program to work with those who are most at risk, even within that group of young people. We should be talking to our municipal courts. We need to be discussing this with DHS, but it's clear that one of the reasons why many of us supported Councilmember Gautier's declaration of gun violence as a public health emergency is because it does actually need multiple entities at the table. No one entity can handle this. The school district does not have enough information, probation does not have enough information, DHS does not have enough information, the police department does not have enough information. And this urgent need to gather all these entities together to do something fundamentally different from what we have been doing before, because whatever it is not working. is one of the most glaring holes, I think, in our anti-violence strategy. So this is not to disparage any work that people are working on or things that are underway, but we have got to get to scale in some way or another. And we've got a whole cohort of young people who are crying out for help, who are in our justice system because they are definitely identified as needing help. We need to deliver that for them, and I'm looking forward to working with my colleagues on some serious programming, hopefully in part with some of our courts to figure out what that may look like. So thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I want to take a moment to thank my colleagues who stood with me the other day at a press conference as I released my government report as it relates to recommendations around things we could do right now. When we talk about the issue of crime in the city of Philadelphia, similar to what my colleagues already have done, we know we can't fix crime without addressing the issues of poverty, schools, and things like that. I will put housing on that list, but at the end of the day, there are some things that we feel like we can do right now, and that was the focus of the report. So I want to thank Councilmembers Bass, Squilla, Driscoll, Clark, Councilmember Johnson for sending the proxy, Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for her support as well, too. At the end of the day, we listened to Councilmember Jones talk about the catastrophe that happened in his district. Councilmember Gim talked about other issues that have plagued the city of Philadelphia. Before council started, I was talking to Councilmember Driscoll about the incident that happened at Wawa and some of the things that he's doing as it relates to his leadership to try to address that crisis as well, too. And when we look at these things, we recognize that our city are facing issues that we've never seen before. I say it all the time, the victims as well as the culprits are getting younger and younger, and we have to be innovative as it relates to how we approach these solutions. So this past summer, I spent a lot of time, like I said before, at my camp working with children and young people across the city of Philadelphia, talking to victims, listening to briefings from different criminal justice partners, and I spent a lot of time in gun court, watching the actual trials or the preliminary hearings, as well as talking to judges and other law enforcement folks. And at the end of the day, we came up with a list of things that we feel like we could do right now. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but there are some things that I want to highlight. We are seeing issues around witnesses showing up, around police officers showing up to court, and those are clerical problems as it relates to communicating things to people, as well as issues around trust with government. So one of our recommendations is that we spend $3 million right now to protect witnesses and victims and to put us in a position where we can restore trust between government and constituents across the city of Philadelphia. We know we have a huge issue as it relates to cleanliness and blight. We're recommending about $4 million be spent right now on cleaning the city of Philadelphia up. We talked about looking at issues as it relates to some of the dollars that we already have spent around gun violence and examining our effectiveness or ineffectiveness as it relates to how those dollars have been spent. Councilmember Gim, who just spoke right before me, talked about the urgency around spending money now. This council body has already passed legislation to allocate money to put more cameras in rec centers and places where we know our children are, and those things don't exist yet. So at the end of the day, we do want to see more cameras. We do want to see significant investment. We know we had conservative projections coming out of the budget, and we have money that we can spend and will spend right now. The question is what will we spend that money on? And I'm recommending at least $15 million of that surplus that we know we have right now be spent to address gun violence and address gun violence right now. We're urging the administration to put together a 100-day plan. I know we're past the 100-day mark as it relates to the end of the calendar year, but this was put on the administration's desk before that mark. We want the administration to look at where we are, and we want to see a full blitz as it relates to resources, and we want to see it targeted to areas where we see the most crime at in the city of Philadelphia. We know that 12% of our roads produce over 80% of our car accidents, but if you look at a map that overlaps those same areas, we'll see a lot of those same areas are also plagued with other criminal behavior and other criminal activity. We passed a resolution out of this body led by Councilmember Gaudier that spoke to us needing to declare a state of emergency around gun violence, and it's tough for us, not just as council members, but as constituents in the city of Philadelphia, to feel that sense of urgency when we as legislators cannot get basic answers to questions, cannot see money spent on things we know that need to be spent, and we can't see a collaboration with the parties that we know we need to see a collaboration with in order to address this issue. So I'm concerned, like the rest of my colleagues, but at the same time, I'm not defeated. I'm going to continue to fight this fight, and I know my colleagues in council will continue to fight this fight and do everything that we can to address the crime in the city of Philadelphia. Before I close out, I just want to echo the sentiments of my colleague and stand in solidarity with the workers who are here today, and echo your sentiments, Council President. We'll do everything in our power to make sure that they get a contract. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman. We will do what we have to do. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to just say a couple of things. The first is that as the mother of a 13-year-old, the death of a 14-year-old being where they were supposed to be, doing what they were supposed to be doing, is just, you know, it's unbelievable. It should not be happening. We have somehow normalized what's happening in a lot of our communities. There is nothing normal about the death of a 14-year-old on the football field, or the other 22, 23 children who have been murdered in the city of Philadelphia through gun violence this year. So I know that it's highly likely that there were, well, it was stated that there were 5 shooters at Roxborough. There are likely 5 households where these firearms are today, Councilman Jones. And when we talk about, you know, what do you do when a shooter lives with you? You know, it may sound like a catchy little phrase, but that's real, because it's likely that those shooters are living in with mom, dad, grandma, granddad. They're living with someone. And so if you even suspect that a young person in your household was involved, you need to flip that mattress up, go under the bed, go in the closet. You need to run through that room and turn them in. Back in the day, you know, when I was coming up, if you had a situation with a young person in your household, you might go to like a Chuck Stone, remember back in the day, or you might go to, you know, someone to walk your young person in. Whoever you feel like you need to walk them in, they need to come in, okay? And so this is something that we need to do, our community needs to do. And so I just really want to put the word out, and I want to thank my colleagues for all of their work on gun violence. I thank you, Councilman, for your steadfastness in bringing this resolution forward regarding the number of trauma centers in the city of Philadelphia. We call ourselves a city of eds and meds. And if you have to pass that many hospitals to get to a trauma center, then that statement is questionable. It's highly questionable. And so all of the things that we do really need to be re-examined when it comes to saving the lives of our young people and keeping them out of harm's way. And I also wanted to thank Councilmember Thomas for his very thorough report. It was outstanding. You know, I want to encourage the viewing public to get a copy of the report, read it, digest it, and demand it. I think looking for a 100-day plan now, maybe a 90-day plan from this administration is an easy thing to do. Asking them to do it should be easy. We know we have the funds. We know we have a budget surplus. We should just do it. The city of Philadelphia should just do it. So I just wanted to say that, Mr. President. Thank you for indulging me on that. On a completely different note, I wanted to make sure that folks know that we were still doing our property tax assessment appeals. It's kind of hard to pivot on something like this. But I just wanted to make sure that people knew that we were still doing property tax assessment appeals and that they could call our office for more information at 215-686-3424. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, just wanted to be recognized today to hold space for the collective grief that I know we all are feeling around the mass shooting that occurred at Roxborough High School this week. And that comes on the heels of just going to the viewing of the Parks and Rec employee, Tiffany Fletcher, this week. Also, the recent Temple grad, Mr. Beauregard, who was shot and killed in West Philadelphia, and all of the shooting incidents and killings we have seen across the city. As Councilmember Bass stated, we cannot normalize this behavior. It's not normal. Even earlier this summer, after losing a cousin to gun violence, when we were first inaugurated here in this body, I lost a 16-year-old cousin to gun violence in July, shot 60 times in North Philadelphia with semi-automatic weapons. And so this is an issue that's deeply personal. As a mother of a teenager who's in high school, currently in the city of Philadelphia, and 2 little people, it is just deeply disheartening to see what is happening across our community. And I just wanted to rise in support of the initiatives of my colleagues in commending Councilmember Thomas for a very thorough report with recommendations, and I look forward to working with him on several of those recommendations, including how we, as members of the Appropriations Committee, can work to ensure that we are adequately funding the measures that need funding in the upcoming mid-year transfer ordinance, and also really pushing the administration on this 90-day plan. We know that in this body we legislate and we appropriate, and it is up to the administrative side of government to spend those dollars in the way that we have intended and to effectuate programming in the way that we have intended. But whatever is happening now, it is not enough. We must continue to do more to address this issue. And so I am also joining my colleagues to call on the administration to come up with a 90-day plan, not just working with members of council, but all across government with a whole government approach to this issue. If this was something that was figured out back in 2012 and 2013, under the Nutter administration, when Commissioner Ramsey was our chief and working with the DA's office, if they could do it then, we can do this now. And so I'm just calling on everyone, to put the individual agendas aside, stop working in silos and come together and really be about the work of the people. None of what we do is about us individually. This is not about us. We are simply here as representatives to represent the people of this great city, and we are here to do their work and their business. So I ask everyone, put your egos aside, put your personal agendas aside, put your politics aside, so we can get the job done for the people we are elected to represent. And I look forward to continuing to do that work in this body. Thank you, Mr. President. And finally, I wanted to just remind everyone about the community evening resource centers that are available for young people in the city of Philadelphia. We have a center at Compassion CDC at 62nd and Cedar. The additional center is at Dixon House at 1920 South 20th Street in South Philadelphia. They are open every single day from 7 p.m. to 2 a.m. They have wonderful activities at each of the centers. They just opened a junior barbering academy at the Community Evening Resource Center in South Philly, and we want young people to utilize them as a resource and as a safe space to go to receive resources for themselves and their families. And the city just announced that 2 additional locations were selected, one in North Philadelphia that'll be around the 2200 block in North Broad Street, and the second location, which will be in the Germantown area in Councilmember Bass's district. And my hope is that we can expand this model and have a center in every division in the city of Philadelphia, whether the children go there voluntarily or involuntarily. We have a center there available for them to have a safe space. And I will say this, and I'll leave it at that I will never apologize. I will never apologize for doing all that I can on behalf of young people in the city of Philadelphia. I will not apologize for working with the administration to create community evening resource centers. I will not apologize for the curfew, and I will not apologize for utilizing every tool that we can in our toolbox to make a difference. But we have to use a multi-pronged approach. It will take all of us, including the community and including parents and families, to get a hold of the young people in this city. So I wanted to just remind everyone about the community evening resource centers and hope that our young people will utilize them. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Gauthier.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to start by thanking the community members who came earlier to speak on the street naming resolution for Reverend Harry Moore. I think it's apparent by listening to their passion and all of the wonderful words they spoke on behalf of Reverend Moore, how special a person he is to the Mantua community and to Philadelphia more broadly. Reverend Moore has served at Mount Olive for almost 30 years. And not only has he, stewarded and grown his congregation, he's come outside his church walls to really support, in particular, the community of Mantua with resources and services. He's also a champion for affordable housing. In the time that I've been in council, it's been a pleasure to partner with him to bring more affordable housing to Mantua. So I just wanted to thank the community for speaking up, but also thank this body for your support of the resolution. I also wanted to thank Councilmember Gilmore Richardson for her resolution recognizing Salim Chapman and his appointment as the new director of the Office of Sustainability. Salim is someone, I hired back when I used to run the Sustainable Business Network. He was our first policy person. He really helped SBN to build out a policy agenda that we use to impact local policy for the better, and so I like to think I had a very small role in his advancement, and I'm really proud of him, and I think he's going to do a great job for the city of Philadelphia. And then finally, I wanted to join everyone in just expressing condolences for what happened in Roxborough the other day. It's just truly horrific. I want to give my deepest condolences to the family of Nicholas, the young man who perished, as well as all of the young people who were injured. And I just think our biggest charge right now as a city, if we want to impact this issue of gun violence, is figuring out what's going on with our young people. Particularly young people that are involved in groups or cliques. It seems that these conflicts between different groups of young people have ratcheted up to a point where young people who have guns are willing to use them at any time of day, regardless of who's around. And we just have to delve into that. I do believe that there are people within our communities that are close to young people, that know what these conflicts are, and that we as a city should be supporting to interrupt these conflicts, interrupt this violence, and bring a sense of calm back to our neighborhoods. And I thank all of my colleagues who are doing work in this area, Councilmember Thomas on his report and recommendations that he put out earlier this week, Councilmember Jones on his new resolution and looking at trauma centers, but also for his lifelong work in this area, and everyone else in this body that's worked on the issue. I appreciate folks bringing up the emergency declaration resolution that I put forward and we all voted on in 2020. I maintain that we need an emergency response to this issue. If this is not an emergency, I'm not sure what an emergency is. I did earlier this week, I showed support for the mayor's executive order to ban guns from recreation spaces. I've had a lot of conflict with the administration over the time I've been in council over our approach to gun violence. But every day, if they're willing to show up and do something different, I'm willing to show up to support them in doing something different and additional. I just ask that we be willing to do that every day, right? I think the executive order came on the heels of the murder of Tiffany Fletcher. I really do support showing the community that we're willing to do, and showing our workers that we're willing to do something more to keep recreational spaces safe. But I think we have to be not taking an episodic approach. I think we have to show up every day every city agency, every, partner that can provide support to people and neighborhoods in crisis right now to be able to do something additional, something different, and something more. And I think it's easy for us to feel a sense of hopelessness with the horrible things that are happening across the city, but I maintain that we don't have to be hopeless. Being hopeless as the city of Philadelphia right now is a choice. We can agree to show up every day and put our heads together as a group of civic leaders to bring different solutions to this problem. And I just want to express my ongoing commitment to that effort and thank all of my colleagues for their commitment and their effort as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman. All right, that concludes our speeches on behalf of the minority and the majority. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us, but as always, I think we're up to the task and we will do what we need to do to change the direction of this very challenging issue in the city of Philadelphia. Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the council stand adjourned until Thursday, October 6, 2022 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that council stand adjourned until Thursday, October 6, 2022 at 10 a.m. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Thank you all very much. Again, please be safe. Love you guys.